Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm so excited on our eve of Thanksgiving.
Yes. And I actually was just imagining speaking into just that,
Oh.
just that. And let me, my volume. Volume. Yes. So, welcome everybody to Your Word is Your Wand. And I am Carrie Muchaw, anxiety expert and coach. And this is my business partner.
Andrea Alexander, anxiety expert and coach as well.
Awesome. And today we have a special guest. And Holly, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Holly Pampel. I am with a fantastic little business called Growing Oily. I am an essential oil educator. So I teach people how to use essential oils on their kids, their pets, their spouses, how to diffuse them in their home, and how to put them on. I already said spouses. Oh, how to safely ingest them also. And I'm part of a fantastic new wellness spa in Conroe, Texas called EmiJun Wellness and Spa.
Oh, very nice. And what are you doing there?
We actually we kind of focus on relaxation. We do something called the raindrop technique. We have ionic foot soaks. We have a biomat. Biomat is totally amazing. It is an infrared mat full of 17 different elements, including amethyst crystal that's heated up to 156 degrees, and it can penetrate up to 6 inches in your body. So as you're laying on it, I tell everybody it's like a vacation, really. So you know that feeling when you come back from vacation and the whole world is right? And nobody has called you and said the world fell apart, there's a leak in your house, your dog threw up on the carpet while you were gone. None of that stuff happened yet. You're just back from vacation and everything is perfect. That's exactly the way that you feel when you sit up from being on the biomat. It's totally amazing.
Wow, that is amazing. You got me. I mean, the second you said amethyst crystals, my eyebrows went up. I was like, whoa!
Yes.
I was like, I'm very much aware of the power of crystals and the energy of that, and essential oils as well.
Right.
I was going to grab my suitcase of oils, but they're next to my tub. So
I've got my pile over here. Like I probably have about 15 oils sitting beside me that you can't see. And so if you see me smelling on my hands, it's because I'm sniffing oil this morning.
we used to laugh because and when my kids would start to get a cold or some sort of congestion, I would do peppermint when they were little and on their hands, and they'd sit here and go like this. And my husband would say, if anyone walks into this house, we have the children inhaling. I mean, it's like,
Yep.
And they would line along the bar stools in my kitchen, and all of them would be sitting there.
Oils, yep.
You know, with all the peppermint.
Yes.
And I love all of those oils and the power of them and the vibration. And so
Yeah.
that mat sounds absolutely amazing. Is that a new treatment that you do, or is this something you were introduced to through somebody else?
So my oily bestie, Missy, she and I worked together at the spa. She actually purchased it several years ago as part of treatment for her children because both of her kids are autistic, and she was trying to help recover them from autism, and she did so quite successfully. Her son at one point in time didn't talk, and I believe he was 5 years old when that happened, and So that's kind of how she got into naturopathics and homeopathics and essential oils and everything like that. And she purchased the biomat, and it's been a fantastic addition. She's had a spa for the last few years, and we finally moved. She had it as part of her home, like the downstairs of her home was her office and her spa. And she finally found a brick and mortar, and she invited me to come along. And so we have a cute little area that we work in. So, but it's something that she's used for a while, but I was only recently, I think it was last year was the first time that I utilized it. And it really, truly took me from way out in outer space to just the most peaceful, calm, chillaxed I've probably ever been in my whole life the first time I use it. So it is something that I enjoy using. If I'm at the spa and we don't have clients or customers, I'm laying on the biomat.
I'm going to lay on the biomat when I come see you next
Yes.
week.
I'm like, okay, let's see. I got friends in Conroe. I'm like, let's see. I'm already making a plan.
My question is, is it portable?
So the one that we have is semi-portable. It's the size of a single bed, and it's extremely heavy. But they do make a portable version of it that's smaller. But they also make a king size version of the biomat that you can put on your whole entire bed. And I could only dream of a king size biomat in my house.
Sounds like you would be dreaming. Like
I would be dreaming a lot.
5 on dreams. That's what I was saying. Big 5 on dreams.
For sure.
That is so awesome. And so I met Holly networking at a holistic community. And the first time I did, our networking person has taught us to set connection dates. And so Holly and I connected on a date and just felt so, it was so fun and easy. And what she's does essential oils. And what was so fascinating to me about what you do is the breadth of knowledge that you have about oils and how they work down to the nanosecond technology, whatever it is that you may call it. Will you share some of your plethora of information about oils and how you came to them and why they retain such a massive or importance in your life?
So the way that essential oils work is that they are the lifeblood of the plant, right? And through steam distillation, they allow the molecules to rise up into the air, and they collect them. And the one thing that's totally amazing about all of that is that through the steam distillation process, none of the essential oil molecules are bigger than 500 atomic units. So they float, right? And something has to be smaller than 500 atomic units to penetrate your body, right? To get into your blood, to get into your cells. And that's what the essential oils can do because they're so teeny tiny. They have the ability to communicate with each cell in your body. They have, there are different constituents, chemical constituents in each essential oil. So basically there's like a chemical profile of essential oils, and each percentage of these constituents actually do different things. You may have heard of terpenes and sesquiterpenes and monoterpenes, right? Those are the important parts of the essential oils. No?
Me neither.
Go ahead and own it.
I've heard of terpenes in relation to CBD.
Right. So it's the same thing. So terpenes and monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes, they all have the ability to go in. They have the ability individually to clean cell receptor sites. they have the ability to unlock a cell. So they basically have a key. The different constituents have keys, excuse me, that can go in and unlock a cell and then go in and clean out and rewrite the misinformation in a cell. So as you talk about, I'm just going to ask, does anybody know what the definition of cancer is?
We would define that as a lot of I can't in our system.
Right. Well, scientifically, it's misinformation in a cell, right? And I didn't say it, but essential oils can rewrite the misinformation in cells. So all of these things together, so as you look at the chemical profiles, the constituents that are in the essential oils, you find no less than 200 in one single drop. So for an essential oil to be able to do so very many things in your body, it is totally possible that one drop can do so very many things. Wow. Go ahead, Carrie.
So my question, you were speaking into cancer. So have you supported others who have had cancer with your oils?
So I have, and it was a sweet friend's sister. She unfortunately essential oils were the last thing that she threw at her illness, and it was a little too late. But even though, and when I say a little bit too late, I got to her in the last 2 weeks of her life. And at that point in time, they had told her that there was nothing that the medical community could do. So as one last ditch effort, and it's difficult because, this illness took so much time to become such a huge problem in her life, right? And then I only got this much time to help her at the end. But because of the essential oils, I do believe that we helped her to transition from her living body here to her eternity in a very peaceful way.
So, and then that's funny because that was my next question, because I was already hearing. So did it ease? Because we all know that we all sign up for an experience, and she showed up at the time that she showed up for a reason.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing is that in transition and ascending, that your experience with oils is that she experienced some more ease and a really easy ascension. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, most definitely. She was she was in a lot of pain. She had quite a few other issues that came up from, just complications of her illness. So she was in a whole lot of pain, and she did find, we were able to help her find some relief in that, physically and spiritually too, because I don't take what I do lightly. I involve God in everything that I do, and I was able to just be a conduit for God, to be comfort for her with the essential oils, and through prayer and meditation over her. And I do believe that it helped her transition much more quickly and much more peacefully than what she would have possibly encountered without the essential oils.
And what brand do you use?
I exclusively use Young Living. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that say, well, I always hear from the Young Living people that Young Living is the best. But can you back it up? And so I can back it up on why they are the best, because they have some of the most educated, scientific community and partners that work with Young Living to ensure that we have one of the best products on the planet, really. A drop of oil goes through something like 22 quality checks before it hits a bottle. Even to the point where when they, as they bring the crop in and they are beginning the distillation process, there are checkpoints all along the way. And if at any point in time the essential oils don't meet the constituent standard, so that chemical profile, if it doesn't meet that standard, it never sees a label. And it's not ever sold on a secondary market. So you can't be a purchaser and go and buy a Young Living reject oil on a market and sell it with a different label.
Wow.
Yes. And are you familiar with, as Andrea shared with you, the book that we use that has all the oils in it, that My Word Made Flesh?
I have heard of that book. I don't personally own that book yet. That is on my to buy list.
I empower you to own that book.
Yes.
Because what Andrea and I do with our words and the oils match, because that's the vibration of how high the vibration is. And in partnering with decrees to reprogram your subconscious mind and the power of the oil at the same time to go in and, as you said, to rewrite. And we're talking about going into cellular levels. This is where the two partner really, really well. And so in the book, it has all of the list of all of the oils, and it has decrees that match it. And it does express all of the different. So I'm empowering you to own that book. I would hold mine up right now, but it's already packed in my bag to travel on things.
And so when I first met Molly and she started talking about oils, this is My Word Made Flesh, and Robert Tennyson Stevens wrote the book in partnership with Marcella Harding, who is, I believe, strongly associated with Young Living. And that was one of my things. I was so excited because where she's talking about misinformation, we talk about dis-ease. And I loved that you spoke about the oil as a key. And I'm slowly making my way through a book by Candace Perth called Molecules of Emotion. And she is the one that discovered the cellular receptor for morphine. And through her research and other neuroscientists like her, neurobiologists, is discovered is that there is a single place on every single cell that is receptive to certain components, principles, elements, whatever that may be. And then the other amazing thing that they discovered is they thought all of our receptors were in our brains. And then through their work, they discovered that they are in the entirety of our bodies, which was massive new understanding. For example, one that resonates for me is that 90% of our serotonin receptors are actually in our gut. And which is why I would imagine why ingesting some of the oils done consciously in partnership and with the knowledge that you have, that they can be so massively beneficial and amazing. And so my question is, why is it that inhaling oils through direct contact on the skin or through aroma, how does this get into us, and how does that work?
So first of all, I just have to tell you that book, The Molecules of Emotion, is totally fantastic, and part of the care training that I've received, that is part of our reading, and it's a huge part of emotional healing with essential oils as well. And to answer your question, the way that they get into your body, okay, if you take an oil and you inhale it, okay, it's going straight to the olfactory, right into the limbic system. So it's going there. You don't pass go. You don't collect $200. This is going straight to your brain. Okay. And the amazing thing about the sense of smell is that you will have an emotional response to a smell before you have a logical response to a smell. I can look at my kitchen table and I can logically say it is brown, it is flat, it's made of wood, right? But if I crack open a bottle of cedar wood and I smell it, I'm going to say, oh my gosh, that reminds me of when I was a little girl and my grandma would open up her cedar chest and I could smell it, and we would rummage through all the things from our family history, right? And that's an emotional response that I have. It's the sense of smell is directly related to your emotions, right? Chocolate chip cookies baking. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of Saturday mornings at my aunt's house, right? It's an emotional response because it's directly connected. The way that essential oils get, if I were to put the essential oil on my skin, which your skin is like the biggest organ of your body, right? So I put it on my skin, and the amazing thing that most people don't realize is that even though it's called an essential oil, this is not like a fatty oil, right? So if I put olive oil on my arm, it's going to be greasy. But if I put an essential oil on my arm, it's going to get absorbed into, and I'm talking just a pure essential oil, not anything that has a carrier oil in it. It's going to absorb into my skin because remember, those tiny, less than 500 atomic unit particles can penetrate my skin. They can cross the blood-brain barrier. Sorry, it's my husband. They can cross the blood-brain barrier and be found in your entire body in 20 minutes. Isn't that amazing? So can I just share a little teeny tiny quick story with you?
Yes.
Yesterday, so my parents bought a new house and we're moving them, and my youngest daughter was with me and she was helping me, and we're in the car and we're talking about different things. And she goes, Mom, I think I just squished a bug in my hand. And I said, oh, what was it? She goes, I don't know. I shook it off my hand. I don't know where it went. And it was right on the inside of her palm right here. And it started turning red and it's puffing up and it's getting bigger. And I'm like, grab that roller right there. Cause I always have oils in my pocket, oils in my car, oils in my backpack. They're everywhere. She picks up a roller and she puts it on her hand. And I said, well, I have myrrh. I had cystis in my pocket. So I pulled out the cystis. I said, here, put this on your arm. And I said, when we get to Granny's house, because we're just down the street, I said, we'll put some other oils on it. And she has a tendency to freak out a little bit. So she's kind of trying to hyperventilate and freak out a little bit. And I was like, look, just trust the process. I said, in 15 to 20 minutes, nothing is going to bother you. She goes, okay. And I said, just calm down and breathe. And she's breathing and the swelling is getting bigger and it's turning red. And now it's about this big on her hand. And she's got the oils on there. We get to my mom's house and I said, okay, let me get my oils out of my backpack. And I put Copaiba on there and I put some more cystis on there. And I said, does it hurt? She goes, yeah, it's still kind of itchy. And I said, okay, well, let's start working and finish what we were doing. And about 15 minutes later, I said, how's your hand? And she goes, oh, it doesn't hurt. And it went from this big red spot to just a little tiny white dot and a little bit of redness around it. And she was oblivious to the fact that it was even there at all. And the funny thing is, my mom, I have pulling my oils out. My mom goes, "Hey, what snake oil do you got? Can you put some on my hand?"
Yes, my children call them potions.
Yes.
We would go skiing, and I would take the suitcase, and they'd go. They didn't want to have nothing to do with the potions. Then all of a sudden, they come out and they're all stiff, and they're like, "Ma, potions! Bring me potions! Give me some potions right here!" And
Yes.
and I'm pulling out oils and putting oils on all of their tender muscles and all of those things, and they're like, "Oh, yes, that's so much better." It's my potions.
I love that you spoke to her about partnering with her body, partnering with the oils, and
Right.
I'm aware in the past that I have yet to believe something could work, and so is it going to work?
Right.
No. And when we will slow down and breathe, as you empowered her to do, and give space for things to work, that they will. And this is creating partnership and agreement for something to actually take place. And Carrie and I play in the power of our words, and the word believe is to be alive in. And we're aware consciously in that what we believe, we perceive, and we have the ability to choose what to believe. And so glorious that you put partnership on deck. I love that. And I love too that you're also in feminine partnership for what you do, which is completely aligns with myself and Carrie. And so awesome. How long have you been studying? Because I'm aware you've got a lot of certifications that you have been giving yourself over the last couple of years, is what I remember.
Right. So I got introduced to oils about 5-6 years ago, and in 2020 I decided that I wanted to learn more. And there's a fantastic entity called the CARE Institute. It's the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education. That's a mouthful. And they have an intensive class that you can attend and begin the process of basically wherever you want it to take you, it can take you. So to be a certified raindrop technician or raindrop technique specialist, a licensed spiritual healer. My ultimate goal is to be a care instructor. So to teach those people that want to go through this intensive. And I actually just attended my 3rd intensive a couple of weekends ago, and it was totally amazing. It's literally just like it says, it's an intensive. We show up on Thursday, and it's 24 hours over the period of 3.5 days of intense education. We learn chemistry 1 and 2 of essential oils. So if you've never, I'm going to show you this book. It's totally amazing. The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple by Dr. David Stewart. It's intimidating looking, but it has a lot of charts.
Made simple. 1,347 pages.
Right.
Martha Stewart, 101 Easy Steps to Creme Brulee.
Right. Exactly. No, this contains probably about half of it is charts that talk about constituents and talk about all different kinds of things. So we do work on the chemistry of essential oils, healing oils of the Bible. We learn a technique called VitaFlex, which is piezoelectric stimulation. It's pressure induced electricity using your fingers. And that was brought about by a gentleman named Stanley Burroughs. It's an ancient Tibetan technique that he kind of revived and did a lot of research on, and found that just that modality in itself is a fantastic healer to the body. And it's great for a reset because we're electrical beings, right? We're made out of electricity and energy, and sometimes it gets a little frazzled here and there, and you need your electricity reset, or the pathway is not clear for the electricity to be able to move. So just that modality in itself. And then we also combine it with essential oils when we do raindrop. And in that training, you learn all about raindrop and how to do it. And we also
Molly,
learn about healing with essential
I'm going
oils.
to interrupt you.
Sure.
Will you please educate the world on what raindrop therapy is? Because I think most people are like, "What raindrop? What?
Right. Yes.
Oils are coming from the sky."
Right. So let me tell you where the term raindrop comes from. So in this technique, we actually take the essential oil, and I'm going to use Valor because we actually use Valor in the raindrop. So we actually take the essential oils and drop it from 6 to 8 inches over the top of the body onto the spine. So we use a series of essential oils, and we apply them to the reflexology VitaFlex points along your feet for your spine. And then we flip you over and we apply that same series of essential oils on the spine with different techniques. We use a feathering technique, which is it's really interesting because Gary Young, the founder of Young Living, also developed this technique, and he developed the technique in hopes to help his niece recover from scoliosis. Mm-hmm. And he did all this research on essential oils that would be beneficial, on processes that would be beneficial. He studied the Lakota Indians, and he watched the way that their healers, their shaman, would do their healing ceremonies. They would take their people before the Canadian border was closed. The Lakota Indians would cross into Canada during the Aurora Borealis when the lights were out. And that's electricity too, right? That's like big electricity, right? That's big energy. They would take their sick people and they would use actual feathers. They would face the northern lights. They were around all these gigantic pine trees of different species. It's totally, I could only imagine standing there being a part of this. The shaman would take feathers and they would stroke a person from their feet up their spine over the top of their head to bring healing to that person's body. And Gary Young kind of adapted that technique. So we do a technique called feathering, where we actually just use very, very gently the tips of our fingers to push the oil up a person's spine to get to every part of it. And we use a couple other different techniques. And it's just really about getting the essential oil on the spine, because that's where everything comes from. It's connected straight to your brain, and it's kind of hard to pour oils on the outside of your head to get directly to your brain. They do get there, but when you're addressing all of the things, you're addressing all the bundles of nerves that go out to each and every part of your body, all of the messages that are being sent to every single part of your body. You're actually introducing the essential oils in there, and it can make a huge difference. Some people can experience healing up to days and weeks afterwards. Some things are immediately revealed and some things are not. Dr. David Stewart, the one who wrote The Chemistry of Essential Oils, he told this beautiful story about how the first time that he ever received a raindrop, his beautiful wife Lee had gone to a raindrop convention, and this was a long time ago. This was probably 20 plus years ago, that Gary Young was teaching at. And Lee came home and gave her husband David a raindrop. He had a severe back injury, and for 20 plus years of his life, he never slept more than 3 or 4 hours because he would be so uncomfortable with his back injury that he would sleep for hours in a chair, and he would get up and go to the couch, and then he would get up and go to bed, and then he would get back up and go to the chair, and he never had a good night's sleep. And his wife did this raindrop on him, and he goes to bed and he sleeps the whole night, and he wakes up the next day and says, I'm healed because of this fantastic technique. And he was also very humbled by his wife, because he knew that his wife had a wonderful healing heart and a healing touch also. And that in combination together just totally manifested the healing in his body.
We often speak into just one drop of love. Yes. Is all that it takes for us to have anything that we choose. And when we are in agreement to fully receive that one drop from a beloved, it's the ability, it's allowing it. That's where we allow healing to begin. And
absolutely,
Carrie and I recently, we've been speaking into, in an instant, something changed. And we've often spoken into, in an instant, my entire life changed, as it is a darkness or something difficult. And my choices to put so much more light on, in an instant, the glory that happened. In an instant, we've been speaking into the holy instant in which something beautiful came in and gifted us. And when we be alive in the one drop of love and allow that to come in through the blood of the plant and love, the miracles that we can experience in our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And really, that's the beauty of essential oils, is one drop is really all it takes. More is not always better, but one drop really can make a difference.
Yes. And we're here on Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving. So let's take a minute to talk about Thanksgiving and what Thanksgiving, because I'm hearing a lot of partnership. I can say that because all these stories are all the partnering and higher vibrations and believing in the power of who's delivering the message to you is what I'm hearing, because right. In every situation they were required to trust whoever was coming before them, which is amazing. And so, and we're coming into Thanksgiving and what that looks like for all of us, as in it may be a little bit different for every single one of us. And when we're speaking about oils, and we're talking about oils in Thanksgiving, because I've heard you speak about cooking with them, putting them on your skin, inhaling them, all those kind of things. What kind of things do you use during the Thanksgiving holiday that supports you, Holly, with oils? What do you enjoy?
As far as essential oils go, I have two staples that I like to take with me. And let's see. I don't have the one over here. Valor and White Angelica are two oils that I personally carry with me everywhere, because like Andrea said, we met at a networking event. So I do a lot of networking. I meet a lot of people. And when we're during the holidays, I love my family, but some of them might have some Debbie Downers in the room. And I don't want that to affect me and how I feel about being with the family that I love. So, Valor, it gives you that courage to walk into a room and not worry about things. And white angelica is actually a protectant. It's an emotional protectant for me as much as for the other people in the room. So if I'm having a bad day and I put my white angelica on, I'm protecting everybody else from my bad day. And when I walk into the room, it keeps me from getting the life sucked out of me by Debbie Downer. So those two are personally ones that I love to use. And a couple of other ones that I absolutely love are frankincense, just because it's so grounding and warm and wonderful for me. And then, there are a couple of other essential oils that are fantastic for when you get together with people. There's a blend called Gathering that actually is totally amazing. It brings everybody to that, into that one heart, one mind kind of place where, everybody's frequency is a little bit closer and everybody seems to speak the same language and understand each other better. That is it's totally an amazing blend. And another one that I like to carry always is the CBD Calm Roller. In case there are some high intensity situations, I just slap some of that the back of my neck. And here's a pro tip from a mom with teenagers. I'm going to show you my pro tip. Are you ready? If they're not cooperating, hi, baby, are you feeling okay? And you just pat them on the back or you touch them on the arm. So they wouldn't be any wiser to what I'm doing. And I've done this more than once. Because, sometimes you get in those places where they're just, teenagers and there's nothing that you could do or say that's going to bring them down from outer space. So I use this to help bring those children back from outer space. So, it does work. It's fantastic.
And what I'm aware of is you're putting it on you and sharing with them.
Me too, and
partnering, choosing to partner in ease and giving it to yourself in relationship.
Right, because I know probably some of that frustration probably came from me.
We own it in ourselves first.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so go ahead, Carrie.
In the angelic oil, does it have a grounding property for you inside of the angelic?
So for me, the white angelica is it's like my emotional barrier, so that it is kind of grounding, but it's more of a covering or a barrier that keeps me from being affected. And I also use it before I meet with a client or before I do a raindrop or a relaxation session or an emotional release session to keep me, because I'm very empathetic, to keep me from picking up their emotions and claiming them as my own, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to pick up somebody's good or bad juju, really, because that's their emotion. It belongs to them. And unless they've invited me in, I really don't want to pick it up. I don't want to take along anything that doesn't belong to me. So it really keeps me protected.
What I hear is it supports you in staying sacred in yourself.
It does. It absolutely does. And I can, the funny thing is, within about 5 or 10 minutes of being with a client, I feel myself and I say, oh no, I didn't put on my white angelica. Will you excuse me? I need to get my white angelica. And I put it on because I feel a difference in how freely I speak or feel about things. And I know that sounds silly, but it keeps me in my emotional box, not boxing my feelings, not like that, but it just keeps me in check while I'm helping a client deal with their emotions, because in that time, that's their time, that's their emotion. This is their healing that we're dealing with and not mine. So I do that on my own time so that I don't pass those things on to them either.
And the reason that I ask about the grounding is because what I'm aware of is that there are many people that speak into being empathic and being empaths, and they take on everybody else's feelings. And there's a big belief in that I hear in our world. And I'm aware of the fact that in order for that to happen, you have to agree to take on everybody else's feelings. And
Right.
Andrea and I always say, I got enough feelings of my own.
Right.
And the reason I said grounding is because and that's what Andrea said, your sacred stay, is it requires that you stay inside of you.
Right.
Because again, you don't require jumping in and grabbing all their feelings. And I'm aware of, like I spoke into the belief that that's what's going to happen. And yet, if we will stay inside of ourselves and stay inside of us, any messages that we are to receive that support our clients is going to come to us, not in the form of carrying someone else's, but in the form of information to be the conduit that you spoke into earlier, and being able to speak in that way. And the one thing I did hear, Holly, that I empower you to remember, because I heard this and you said, oh, I had to go get my essential oil. I had to go get my angel oil. And what I'm aware of is if somebody is an expert the way that you are, and what I hear, and you're so aware of the vibration of the oil, that even if it was in Canada and you were here, you could call on the energy of that oil to submerge your entire body without even moving your physical
Absolutely.
body.
Absolutely.
That's what I heard, because somebody that's got this much already knows the vibration, owns the vibration, and can call on the vibration.
Right.
Hear that?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I totally get that.
And I can
do.
imagine saying in you that I am already bathed in white angelica. I am secure. My sacred space is within me and and I'm bathed. And
Ooh,
amazing.
You know, it's amazing that you guys talk about that, because as beautiful and wonderful as it is to own all of these wonderful essential oils, because God made them the way that they are, with all these 200 plus constituents, you could seriously own one essential oil and use one drop. That's my husband in the background. And just use one drop and ask God to call the constituent forward that your body needs. So even if I only ever had peppermint, I could ask of the oil that constituent would come to the top, the one that my body needs the most, and that it would be utilized. And that's the one thing that blows my mind about all of it, is that you can, and you are connected. And the longer I use oils, the more I find myself attracted to different oils, and with the ability, and I've even tried this before, I've tested this. I would go through my book. I have a fantastic essential oils reference book, and I would go through the illnesses, be like, okay, I got this going on today. I need this oil. And I would put that in my salt for my bath, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see how intrinsically drawn I am to these essential oils. And I would stand there in front of my shelf with all these oils on it, and I would pick out a couple of oils that just like called my name, right? You don't know why you're picking what you're picking, but you're pulling it. And then I would go to my reference guide and I would look it up and I would be like, oh, that's totally amazing. This is exactly what I needed today. And it's fantastic that we get to make that connection between the essential oils and their frequency and our frequency and our ability to be open to receiving their frequency, right? It's totally amazing. It blows my mind.
That's so awesome, because we're aware that the body knows exactly what we require when we will slow down enough and trust what we've yet to hear, see, or know in ourselves in the moment and make a choice.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I personally want to empower people and educate people, is that you intrinsically know there is an intuition that's given to you.
Yes.
Right. And for so long, we have been told that our intuition is wrong. No, you don't know what's wrong with you. But wait, I do. I can't tell you in scientific terms. I may not even be able to give you the diagnosis name of what is wrong with me. But I can tell you intrinsically that there is something wrong and there is something that I need. You didn't, before modern medicine, what did people do? Grandma went out back and she picked some what seemed to be random things and came in and made a little poultice, or she made a salve, or she made you a tea, and you drank it because those things were given, that she was given an intuition. All the way back to the Garden of Eden, I think we were given an intuition. And shame on us as a society for not trusting our intuition, right? Because it's a gift to us, and we should use it in and for ourselves and for our families, and begin to trust it again, because it's given to us for a reason. It's intuition. It's to keep us safe. It's to keep us healthy. Why would we not want to tap into that intuition? And you tell somebody, oh, I don't even know why I did that. Well, yeah, I don't have to have a reason why I did that. That was my intuition. And I was trusting that little inner voice to lead me and to guide me for exactly what my body needed at that moment.
Yes.
And you have Jacqueline here that just says great information, ladies. And so awesome that she's listening. And anyone that's listening. So Holly, how can they contact you?
So I do have a website. It is growingoily.lifestepseo.com. And there is a little contact button on that page. And if you're local to Conroe,
you say that one more time. I'm typing it. I apologize.
Sure. It's growing, GROWING, oily, OILY.lifesteps, LIFESTEPSEO.com.
EO.com. Okay. Mm-hmm. Had an extra dot in there, and I was like, choose to put this exactly as it is. Mm-hmm. What's
and
wrong?
Then
I tapped something else. I got so excited. I'm tapping all kinds of things.
Sure.
And that's what I'm tapping right there.
Yep, that's it right there. And then if you're in Conroe and you'd like to set up a time to come and visit Missy or myself at EmiJun Spa, Wellness and Spa, our physical location is 2255 North Loop 336 West, Suite B. We're in the back of the Bavina Salon. And our hours kind of vary. And typically we only see clients by appointment. We do have a one day a week, typically Thursday afternoons, we're open and available, just not this week because it's Thanksgiving. And you can make appointments for the spa at EmiJun, EMIJUN, wellnessspa.com. So that's 3 S's right there in the middle.
That's a lot of S's.
It is a lot of S's.
Making sure I got it right. I'm like, okay, let's see. Is this correct? Let's see. Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Lots of S's.
Well,
And so next time I choose to capitalize each one of those, that helps my eyes know where I'm going.
That's a good idea.
Yes, I used to do that for I owned a yoga studio with a very long name, and that's how I did it, is to put those capitals in there so that it pops out a little bit more.
Right.
So there you go. So this is how you can reach Holly if you're interested in any of the things, the modalities she spoke about, the raindrop therapy, which I've experienced raindrop therapy myself, and several times actually, because I did own a yoga studio and I did have a raindrop therapist in-house for some of my years, and very much enjoyed it. And I believe that's what began my journey of owning essential oils and using them in therapy and working on clients. And you spoke into intuition and trusting. And one of the things that I'm aware of that I would do for my clients in the past was I would look at all of my oils and I would trust whatever I was coming to me, and I would draw a few of them and put them and create a little mix for them. And I remember they'd always say to me, why does the mix, whatever you choose, always smell so good? And I was like, and it's exactly what you require. And I was like, and I have a book or anything like that? No, I just trusted. And then as I learned the oils, they would help me, they would support me in identifying kind of what was coming up for my client and some of the things to speak into for them, ginger digestion, some things like that, some basic things. And as we know, peppermint supports congestion, and lemon inflammation, and just some of the real basic ones. And my experience was when I begin with very basic, and I began with peppermint, lemon, I choose to remember there was lavender. Those were the 3 that I would, because lavender with stress and the calming vibration that was in those, to be able to just use those 3. Those were the 3 that I started with. And so I'm aware of just how much power in trusting and what you have. And so I always tell people, trust whatever you're buying. Follow who you're listening to and who you feel really supported by, and you'll have the oil in which you desire and require. Because if you really like the smell of it, there's a reason why. There's also one that if you don't like one, there's a bigger reason why.
Something in that for you.
Usually you need some emotional work if you come across an oil that you don't like the smell of.
Yes.
That's typically an indicator that you have an emotional issue that essential oil can help combat.
And that's why you're running from it.
That's right.
That's where you're like, and then you just remember that there's something in that for us. And we have, Andrea and I have that experience with different patterns where people are, I'm good with this, or I've already forgiven, I'm okay, or I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. And what that means, I really desire to talk about this because this is the one. That's what that means. That is code for this is the one. Yep. So awesome. And so thank you so much for joining us today, Holly. Holly is our first
guest.
The first guest.
Set the standard for sure.
Yes, awesome. Grab your lemon, put it in your water.
That's right.
And then began using something very simple like that today. And so here's all of the information where you can find Holly. And thank you so much. And everybody have a great holiday, Thanksgiving, and use some, if you're yet to have oil, just put some lemon and you take a few breaths, but find your way into a beautiful Thanksgiving and being able to be with your family. Because what I heard so much of was being able to stay in ourselves.
Yeah.
Instead of believing we have to jump out to either help someone in Thanksgiving or we have to go try to adjust whatever they're experiencing in the room with our families, instead where we can just be inside of ourselves, because that's a space of love, and being able to lovingly be inside of ourselves, to be and listen and just be in the presence, because when we come from an energy and a remembering of love inside of us, that is where we can experience everything around us very, very easily. And that's the one drop that Andrea is speaking into, and the angelic drop that Holly's speaking into. And Andrea and I speak about calling on legions and legions of angels for support. And you may require all of those angels as you go into Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
we can do it. The memory is what I choose to remind everybody, is that we are remembering that we can call on those things. And oils are a way that we have supported ourselves in remembering. It's raising the vibration of the power that we have within us. It's already there and it's arising. And so if you're yet to buy an oil, it's okay. You can still call on your angelic power within you, because it lies within you. And that is the call for support, being able to stay inside of yourself and have your loving experience. So I empower everyone to have their loving experience on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And remember your love inside of you. And Andrea, the massive me love me. And we didn't open with our decrees this morning.
And I have a decree for Thanksgiving.
Oh.
I give myself permission to love and enjoy the family I have.
That's a good one.
I give myself permission to love and enjoy the family that I have.
There's a lot of expectations as we walk into the holidays, and we can lovingly accept ourselves and others exactly where we are. And if something comes up and you feel irritated, just breathe.
Yes.
And
Awesome.
this is loving us exactly where we are. Blessings all, and happy Thanksgiving. I'm Abundant Andrea.
And I'm Conscious Carrie.
Conscious Carrie, and we have been with Holly, and we are so grateful to have had you with us as our first guest. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Bye.